All right, Sandra, let's bring in Jonathan Turley, George Washington University law professor and a Fox News contributor. So we heard the vice president a short time ago saying he fully believes that the shooting was justified because the officer was in fear of his life, that the woman was aiming her car toward him. There's numerous angles of what happened that were taken on cell phones. One of them, and I want to put it up on the screen right now here, in the highlight, as the car moves forward, there's the officer in front of the car. It does appear to make contact, at least with his left side to some degree. The contact was made, if you take a look at it, just before he pulled the trigger for the first shot, then he fires two subsequent shots. The fact that there appears to have been contact, does that justify the use of deadly force?
Well, the evidence does tend to support the officer here. Under the standard of Tennessee versus Garner and later cases, you look at the totality of the circumstances. And the key here is that the car is treated as a weapon. If it is moving at fast speed towards an officer, if there's an imminent collision, these officers are trained to treat that as a lethal weapon. The key here is that she does appear, in my view, to be fleeing the earlier police officer. She was ordered to get out of the car. Now, whether she was aiming at the officer or she was fleeing, under the standard, it may not matter in the sense that what the officer was encountering was a car that was rapidly approaching him. He didn't have a second. He had a fraction of a second to make a decision on how to address an imminent threat. That's why many of us have said it does fall within the standard set out by the court. Now we'll get more videos, we'll get more evidence. You don't want to say that this is now conclusive, but what is outrageous are when you have people like Mondami and Fry calling this officer a murderer. It's outrageous. I mean, the evidence, if anything, favors him, and I think it does favor him fairly strongly as we see more of these videos.
You know, I've seen a slow motion video, or one of the videos was slowed down so that you can literally watch it frame by frame. And there's a moment that as the driver after she backs up, she puts it in drive, her left wheel, you can see, is aimed to the left, which would be aimed toward the agent that is in front of the car. The tire spins on some ice before she then turns the wheel forward. And people have posited that if the car had traction then, it would have lurched directly toward the officer. But listen to what the ACLU said in the press release here. ACLU and ACLU of Minnesota demand immediate action after ICE shoots and kills Minnesota woman. For months, the Trump administration has been deploying reckless, heavily armed agents into our communities and encouraging them to commit horrifying abuses with impunity. Congress must rein ICE in before what happened in Minneapolis today happens somewhere else tomorrow. But when you look at the totality of what happened yesterday, that this woman, according to DHS officials, had been stalking ICE officers throughout the day, as apparently they had tried to push a car out of the snow. And what we see across the country when it comes to civilians trying to get in the way of these ICE officers, what do you make of the ACLU statement?
Well, I think that's the problem, is the disconnect from the legal standard itself. I don't have much doubt in my mind that the officer, unless we see something truly contrary coming out in terms of videos, that this officer will be have been found to have engaged in a lawful execution or discharge of his weapon. Now, there could still be some evidence that is coming forth. The key here to remember is that regardless of what her intent was, whether it was to flee or to run over an officer, she directed her car directly at an officer who was very close and took actions within a second. That's the type of thing that courts have routinely said they're not going to second guess this split-second decision. Now, as for Governor Walz saying that he's going to call out the National Guard to protect citizens against the federal government, that seems rather antebellum. He should probably talk to Jeff Davis about that. I don't know what he means by it, but the federal government has a right to be there. You cannot prosecute this officer in state court. They all know that, and they also know that they're unlikely to prevail in this case under the operating standard.
All right, well, we'll see where this all goes from here. As Jonathan Fahey was saying, he wouldn't be surprised if the state tries to bring charges. and it ends up in federal court, and those charges would be thrown out because there is immunity for federal law enforcement officers from state charges if they are acting in the line of duty. Professor, always great to catch up with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.